Good afternoon. Can you all hear me?
Loud and clear. Andrew, you have the
Excellent.
floor now. And
Thank you.
delegates, ask more of your questions and the more chance you can win our free vouchers. Andrew, see you later.
Thank you, Jack, for the introduction and for having me. And good afternoon to every one of you. Trust you've had a good lunch break this afternoon. As you know, the session right after the lunch break is going to be the most challenging one. And I promise you it won't be long. And it's going to be uh, a session that hopefully will make all of us think deeper. Although um, there are many of us coming from a very wide range of job functions and various companies, large and small. So, once again, good afternoon. In the design and development of a new cosmetic product, we know how important it is that we get the packaging right, don't we? So, my topic for this conference is rethinking the role of packaging in new product design and development, NPD for short. And the key question this afternoon I would like to throw out to the audience is, can we incorporate at the very beginning sustainability into the NPD process? Now, here in the slide, you see a generic map of design and development features. And by the way, NPD is a different function from R&D, all right? Although they are both under the bigger umbrella of innovation. So my question this afternoon, put in another way, is can sustainability be embedded into the NPD process? As we see on the left, there's a formulation of content, packaging, development, performance, and functionality. And then we have on the right customer requirements, manufacturability, supply chain. How do we embed all these sustainability ideas through this entire roadmap? Well, notice I'm not asking why should we do that. That's because sustainability is fast becoming the norm and requirement for all companies and businesses. And by extension, it becomes necessary that the new products are sustainable. Sustainability is much larger than green. As the US EPA says, sustainability is based on a simple principle. Everything that we need for our survival and well-being depends either directly or indirectly on our natural environment. To pursue sustainability is to create and maintain the conditions under which humans and nature can exist in productive harmony to support present and future generations. Now, according to Adam Werbach, CEO of Saatchi & Saatchi, there are four aspects of sustainability: social, to address conditions that affect us all, including poverty, violence, injustice, education, public health, labor, human rights; economic, to help people and businesses meet their economic needs, for people securing food, water, shelter, creature comforts; for businesses turning a profit; environmental, to protect and restore the earth, for example, by controlling climate change, preserving natural resources, preventing waste; and lastly, cultural, to protect and value the diversity through which communities manifest their identity and cultivate traditions across generations. Now, as product designers and developers of cosmetic products and beauty products, we want our products to be successful in the marketplace. And so we need to rethink packaging at all its layers, primary, secondary, tertiary, and so on in our NPD pipeline. Um, Questions we may ask would be which subcomponents within these tiers may be reduced, replaced, and eliminated. And ultimately, we also have to look at the recyclability, the end of life, and the circularity of all the components. We need to rethink and formulate a packaging strategy that brings benefits to consumers, the environment, future generation, and the business, of course. As the industry becomes more and more saturated with a plethora of beauty products, businesses come up with innovative ideas and ways to get consumers to buy their beauty products. Put in simplistic terms, the form, the graphics, copy, visual aspects of packaging is a kind of language that speaks to the consumer, that generates interest, trigger a purchase decision, and creates associations with the product, the brand, and the company. Generally speaking, as consumers' awareness grows, their buying decisions lean towards sustainable products and businesses. In addition to consumers, we must look at the whole ecosystem of stakeholders, because sustainability affects all stakeholders, the consumers, as we have mentioned, the brand owners, investors, businesses, manufacturers, as we have a very good example of a sustainable manufacturing plant, Mr. Hakim. And then we have the Greenleaf plant, and manufacturers of ingredients. We heard a presentation from SpecChem, and also the manufacturers of packagings, which I will cite some examples later. And of course, on the right side, we have the standards organizations, the regulators, the NGOs, consumer protection bodies, for example, that will call out greenwashing practices or unfair trade practices, advocacy groups, as well as trade associations like the ACA, ASEAN Cosmetic Association, and of course the CTFAS. Now, on the regulatory front, we see that in many parts of the world, there are already in place mandatory regulatory directives, and these will become the key drivers of action along this direction. So, for example, we have Ms. Brunin presenting about the Australian situation earlier in the first presentation. And then we have UK packaging tax. We have the China plastic waste amendment rules. And in Singapore, we have the mandatory packaging reporting, and also the extended producer's responsibility that will come in 2025, being an extension from the electronics and e-waste, which puts responsibilities on businesses and producers to collect, treat, and dispose of their products after they have been used, to reduce waste and to create a market for discarded plastic, paper, metal that would otherwise go to the landfills for incineration plants. We have a famous landfill in Singapore called the Semakau landfill, and that will be extended to 2025. Fortunately, we have, through all this clutter and terminology definitions, we might be asking the hows, the whats, and the whys, right? And how do we make the correct claims? Now, I am not a sustainability expert. But as the leader of an organization, especially in manufacturing as well, I have responsibility to be committed to sustainability. So fortunately for us, there are ISO standards that provide clarity, the frameworks, certifications even. And so there are some examples of the available standards here, like the 14,000 series, the 18,000 series, and so on and so forth. You will find it in the ISO websites. And there are some examples here in this slide of certified products. We have an announcement in the lower left in green that Aptar has actually launched its first packaging for cosmetics that is using certified recycled plastics. It is certified by the ISCC. And then we also have a very interesting company in the UK called Ethic, which use compostable secondary packaging, and so on. So in the future, and actually the future is here, not too far away too, consumers and businesses will be nudged towards responsible consumption and production, circularity, sustainability. In the beginning, I asked this question: can sustainability be embedded into the NPD process? And may I suggest that designers, developers, and formulators would also need to work on questions such as, number one, can we harmonize the sometimes conflicting needs of consumers for aesthetics versus eco-friendliness? Number two, can we reconcile the buzzword that we hear so very often, less is more versus elegance? Can a product be wallet friendly and good quality? Or put in another way, does expensive look equal high quality? Finally, thinking and behaving as a consumer, am I willing to trade personal convenience in exchange for a more sustainable product? These tensions are not cases of either or, but they can be both. And of course, there will be some trade-offs in the spectrum or continuum. There are many beauty businesses and brands that have shown us in the earlier slides. Also, these businesses, some of them are members of the CTFAS. For example, Mayume, which is a shining example. If you read their sustainability disclosure 2020, how they set up the KPIs and things like that, and Greenleaf in Australia, which we heard earlier, a fully sustainable manufacturing plant. There are many stakeholders in this whole ecosystem that set these examples for businesses, for NPD professionals. I know some of you joining this seminar are NPD professionals. Certainly, I would like you all to start embedding sustainability into the NPD processes. And now, just a few words. My time is running out, but quickly, just let me say that I come from the CTFAS, Cosmetic, Toiletry, Fragrance Association of Singapore. We are the only industry association recognized by our government health authority. We collaborate, we work with them, we dialogue with them a lot, and we are also very fortunate to be a part of the ASEAN Cosmetic Association. I know Li Pang and the rest of the colleagues are here from VOCA, CCIP, Precosme, and so on. I would like you to scan this if you want to visit our website or Facebook. And for those of you who come from Singapore and you have not yet joined CTFAS, may I invite you to consider joining us. And Rachel is also on hand, and we can do the networking after this. So please ask me any questions, and you can also send to my email. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, delegates. And yes, I received some of the questions saying that Andrew's profile picture is blocking some of the content of his PowerPoint slides. I have to say I'm sorry for that, but due to the live streaming setting, we have to fix the Andrew's profile picture there. However, if you have any questions due to those slides, welcome to ask the questions in the chat box now. And Andrew, we have several questions in the Q&A mode already, so let's deal with them. Okay.
Q&A.
So let's answer this question first.
Okay. Given that the cost of alternative materials are higher than conventional materials, it would be challenging for smaller cosmetic companies to compete. Yes, I agree that it is quite true that the cost of alternate materials like recycled materials, for example, PCR or biopolymers, are definitely higher than conventional ones. But I would like to, as Jack has mentioned earlier, more and more this present generation, the Gen Z, the millennials, we are all gravitating towards sustainable skincare packaging, all things being equal. So while it's true that the cost may be slightly higher in the beginning, but you will build long-term customer value and loyalty for your company and for your brand. So I hope I answered that question.
Of course. Let's go to the next one.
In terms of being sustainable, which part of the MPD is harder, the packaging or the content? Okay, that's a hard one, not easy to answer. Well, we know that formulating with alternate ingredients, the chemicals, right? The eco-friendly chemicals, the green and the clean chemicals that are considered more sustainable can be quite challenging. Challenging in the sense of perhaps stability as well as compatibility with the packagings. And more importantly, the challenge would also be technologically, will the clean and green ingredients be able to deliver the sort of efficacy that is required? So I'm not an authority on that field, but definitely I would say that one of the challenges that formulators would face is how to actually marry these two together in terms of sustainability. So I hope to some extent I've answered that question.
Okay. So due to the time limitation, maybe we can deal with one more question, I guess.
What are some sustainability initiatives in place by CTFAS? Okay, thank you for that question. I forgot to mention that as a non-profit trade association, sometimes it is very difficult because number one, we are relying on volunteers to join our committee. So all of us, including myself, have a daytime job, full-time job, and we do this, on a volunteer basis. And however, the CTFAS is very fortunate, where many people are very committed, like Ake and the vice presidents and so on. And we have an initiative coming up, and that is on April the 20th, just 2 days before Earth Day. We will be planting something like about 70 trees or something like that. So we are part of this initiative of 1 million trees project in Singapore. So we're going out physically to plant those 70 trees. So we are moving in this direction. However, I acknowledge there's a lot more that we can do. So please join CTFAS. Thank
Of
you.
course. And my text assistant already share your contact information in the chat box. I hope that delegates you can have further discussion of this volunteer job or this very good goal in the long term to work with Andrew Gunn and ask more questions to him too. Andrew, what do you think? Which question? Which one asked the question you would like to give the voucher to?
I think the last question, the
Okay.
third question.
I see. The
Yes.
sustainability initiatives in place by CTFAS. Great. Let's do that. And as the end, I have to say goodbye to you, Andrew Gunn, and thank you for your time and your good insights sharing today. I'm looking forward to see you in our future events. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye bye.